Good day, everyone, and welcome to another epic episode. Welcome to Newsaluchi, another political chat. I'm your host, Usabelo Kazuma Umshuluzi, and I say welcome to join me. It is dated that 2018, 14th February. 2018, 14th February. That is when President Cyril Ramaphosa was elected to become the president of RSA. And let me tell you, for the past 7 or 8 years, it had been a disaster. What a 7 full, useless, wasted years that the president has given unto us. 2014, he became the deputy president of Jacob Zuma and worked very close with Jacob Zuma. In 2018, on his first speech in parliament, he started now to troll the former president, Jacob Zuma, of saying that he had had 9 wasted years in office. Not knowing that what will unfold afterwards will be the disastrous years of what we term the President Cyril Ramaphosa's 7 wasted years, disastrous years, black cloud years. I call this the dark ages years, whereby there's no action, there's nothing happening, no service delivery, nothing, and those who are corrupt are not held accountable. That is the legacy of President Cyril Ramaphosa. I like it when Julius Malema says that the country is in autopilot.
ANC
It has no driver. The bus is just driving itself to perdition, down to cause the greatest accident in history. This is the legacy of President Cyril Ramaphosa. Everything has collapsed under his name. So what is happening? I want us to talk about that. I want us to talk about the leaders who are not even acknowledging President Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency and count him for nothing as one of the most useless president ever given to RSA. You know, I don't know who's to blame for this, but I bet to you that Fikile Mbalula has many things to do about giving us, and Gwerimantashe about giving us Cyril Ramaphosa to be the president, because the man is the worst. What a wasted 7 years by President Cyril Ramaphosa. Wasted. South Africa at the moment, it shows to be the leaderless. Why we have the president at the helm. Why I say that is because everyone in this country do as they please. Everyone. Do you remember the sergeant of the army of South Africa, General Nchaveni Mapaha? He once said that South Africa has a Mickey Mouse army. A Mickey Mouse army because the politicians are destroying South Africa, of making it borderless, and they have destroyed the South African army.
What I'm going to say here, I may be trampling on some cones, so please pardon me, Premier, and the parliamentarians that are here. All of you know that South Africa in its position in the world, we are a global player. In Africa, we are the leader in terms of economics and geopolitics. And therefore, we are considered a big brother. No, you cannot be a big brother if you are unable to wield a stick that will make people be afraid. Now, you may be asking yourself, what is he talking about and all that? How many of you will build a beautiful and expensive house and not fence it and protect it? I don't think none of you will do that. Constitutionally, the South African National Defence Force is mandated to protect and defend the country. Now, any home will display its character, its worthiness, by the level of security that it places around it. Now, if we're going to play big brother in Africa, and therefore what we give for the Defence Force should symbolize that. A lot has been said about the South African National Defence Force not being well equipped, not being resourced and all that. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm saying, and I'm appealing to the politicians that are here, that next time you sit down and debate, think whether you are protected or not. Because that grant that you're giving to the people out there, the education of your children and everything else will not materialize if you're not protected. I'm sure many of you know that we are sharing our grants for the poor with people who are not supposed to share the grants. And that is because we are not protected. Our borders are porous. And they're porous because you, the politicians, have decided you want a Mickey Mouse Defence Force. I'm sorry to say that. And by the way, the Adjutant General is here. I'm protected. I'm not making a political speech, by the way.
Imagine the general calling his army Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Something for children. Mickey Mouse. Right? So, there's a big story that was happening in South Africa about the chief of the South African Defence Force, SANDF, General Rotani Mapoanya, criticized by cabinet ministers on his visit to Iran, even though they entirely agree with him. This made John Steenhuisen to go crazy. The DA went crazy. They were so angry to say that how can the whole general of the army of South Africa visit Iran?
That's a great question, and I think that the general should face the highest form of punishment in the military, and that is a court-martial. It is completely unacceptable that he has violated the country's national interest by going to Iran and making the type of political comments he made outside of any mandate from the South African government in a very perilous time for us as we're trying to negotiate sensitive trade deals in other parts of the world. This type of rogue behavior cannot be condoned. The military should not be intervening in political matters. They have a mandate in terms of the Constitution, and they should stick to that. And so I would think a very strong message needs to be sent out, and the general needs to be dealt with in the most serious way possible.
And speak diplomatic talks with Iran. So they were very shocked and not happy to say, why is this happening? And when the media asked now the minister and the deputy minister and those who are the likes of Ronald Lamula and Mutsecha and the deputy minister Bantu Holomisa, they all didn't know about this visit that was made by General Rotane Mapoanya. They didn't know, right? A South African terrain visited Iran by a South African military delegation led by Mapoanya. Not only alone as a person who was just going there for personal visit, but there was a South African delegation accompanying him to make or to talk, to continue, let me put it like that, the talks between South Africa and Iran without the president knowing. because you know that there is that accusation from the US coming from Donald Trump, accusing the South Africa of siding with Iran, their number one enemy, right? And they tried to just distance themselves to say that no, they are not working in any way with Iran, and South Africa is independent, blah blah blah, talking a lot of things, but only to find out that now the DA were in the forefront to go to the US and to speak diplomacy. But now the DA now is the one now that became furious about this, because they always want now to channel South Africa not to be as the member of BRICS nation, but to always side with the West, with the USA, right? So the DA, I think what is happening in their mind is that they are the ones who are governing. That is why they always overtake Cyril Ramaphosa and not even consider him. So that is why I said that this country is in autopilot. So another thing I want us to talk about is the stance of the Afro Forum sidelining President Cyril Ramaphosa as if he is not there. The Afro Forum visited Washington early this year to report the ANC comrade and Julius Malema on singing the song Kiss the Boer, and the ANC leaders are to be sanctioned in Washington personally, right? They urge Donald Trump and his team to sanction ANC leaders, and the ANC, the president said nothing, and he never even took action against people who are just causing anarchy, going there to cause more confusion as if they were government at the time. So they bypassed the ANC and never told the ANC anything, and President Cyril Ramaphosa kept quiet. That is why even the General Rudani Mapwanya, even him went to so everyone went to Iran. Everyone here in South Africa, everyone does what thinks that they will benefit or it is good for them by doing whatsoever that they want to do at the time, because there is no one that will just hold those individuals responsible for their actions. So everyone now is doing as they please. This is South Africa, right? So the DA was in support of that, but condemned the SADF. So the DA was in support of the Afro Forum going back to Madala side to consult the USA delegation of talking diplomatic talks between the two nations as if they were part of government, right? But when General Rudani Mapwanya visited Iran, they went mad and they were angry because they don't want to see South Africa aligning with anything which has to do with Russia or Iran, right? Just imagine, it was reported that Russian ships they were bypassing Cape Town and they wanted to refill some gas there in Cape Town, and the government that is there in the Western Cape of the DA refused to help the Russian ship to refill fuel, right? Imagine. And Russia and South Africa, they are in the same group, they are in the same partnership, they are all belonging to the BRICS group, but the DA now took it now in their hands without informing the government of the day and the president to say that we are refusing Russia entry to the Western Cape, right? And the ANC just went crazy to say, why would you do that? These guys are our partners, but nothing was done about that because the president is weak, right? So the interesting thing is that in all of this, the ANC failed to lead because everyone is doing as they please. Siyagroova akekho gogo, akekho gogo, akekho gogo, siyazenzela, akekho gogo, siyazidalela, akekho gogo. At this time, akekho umkhulu, which is Cyril Ramaphosa. He's just one useless old leader who is there, not knowing why he wanted to be president at the first place. So, while General Mkhwanazi exposed the politician, right? You remember, to take part in terms of working with the criminal syndicates. Also, General Nchaveni Mapaha once said that politicians had turned the South African National Defence Force, SANDF, into Mickey Mouse army. Blame the politicians. Kwanaze, blame the politicians. When anything happens here, the ANC politicians, they can't take actions. They are not decisive of leading anything or controlling anything. So the country is just left in the autopilot because the ANC comrades have nothing to offer for the past 31 years. That is why the president comes boldly with a nerve of asking that why. And when it is all said and done, please don't forget that you can subscribe to this channel and you can leave your comment on the section below. Remember that you don't pay anything and you'll be supporting us so that we grow bigger than where we are. Until we meet on the next video, and I'm out.